This is Dr. Carroll, and this video is about Java Strings Introduction. So let's start with talking about data types, because a string is a data type. So what is a data type? Well, it's a type for data. How's that for a circular definition? But more specific, to be more concrete, it specifies how values are stored and how those bits are interpreted. For example, if you had a data type that is an int, then it needs 4 bytes of memory, and those bytes are used as a whole number. If the data type is a double, then it needs 8 bytes of memory, and some of those bits are used for the base of the number, and some are used for the exponent, and then there's lots of complicated things that go on to represent it and everything. But the data type tells the compiler how to store the bits and how to interpret them. Java is a statically typed language. In a statically typed language like Java, we need to decide what type of variable each one is going to be. In contrast, dynamically typed languages, for example Python, will let you change the data type of the variable multiple times. This is not the case in Java. So let's talk more about Java's string class. What is a string? First of all, it's a sequence of characters. In Java, a string is a member of the java.lang.string class. So let's give an example then. So if that's its package and its class name, then we get this class for free, so to speak. We don't have to do anything else except just write string and then our variable name, and then we can assign it something like hello world. So it's a lot like a string in Python, but in Java we give it a data type, here string, and then a name to declare a variable. So, and also here we are initializing this object, the string object. Okay, so first string is a reference to a string object. Now, just as we have numerical literals like 42, character literals like an exclamation mark, there's also string literals. So here we have the string literal hello, comma, world, exclamation mark. String literals must start and end with a double quote sign, unlike Python, which allows for single quotes and some other variations. So string literals have to have quotes and double quotes starting and ending with them. So let's look at another example. So what if we had another string object and we named it favorite color, and we initialized it with the value BLUE. Blue's a beautiful color. Well, we can also change what object that reference is referencing. So here what we're doing is we're creating a new object that has the value yellow and having favorite color reference it. So this would be illustrated with something like this. So here we have on the stack our favorite color variable, and it is pointing to an object we're going to represent as a circle, and it has the value blue stored here, and we'll just ignore the methods for now, but just know that they're there. And then the next line of code, now we still have our variable favorite color, but now it's pointing to a new object named yellow, or that has the value yellow stored in it, and a number of other things. And so nothing is pointing to this other string object for now, and so the garbage collection will come and clean it up automatically for us. Okay. So we can display a string using system.out.println like we've seen before. And so just as I did in the Hello World Java video. The Java documentation says that strings are constant. Their values cannot be changed after they are created, as illustrated in this example I just gave. Once a string is created, its values cannot be changed. We can create a new string object and have our variable reference a new object, which is shown right above. And along these same lines, when we use a string method, it does not change the values. It creates a new string object with the values changed in the new string object. So let's see this. So we have lots of string methods. I'm going to just illustrate 3 here, just to give a sampling to whet your appetite. So let's start out with maybe the most common one, and that's just length. Length returns the length of the stored string in that object, and it stores that value as an int. And so we could have the example of 2 strings here, one being referenced by the variable name terse, and the other one formal. And terse has a value of hi, and probably a count of 2 stored also. And then formal has a value of hello, hello, and a count somewhere of 5. And so we could use these, like we could use a length method, and notice we're using the dot operator to call a method on this object, and it will return what? 2. And so this will display 2. Alternatively, we could have called length on formal, and then it's going to display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because there are 5 characters there. Okay? So there's length. It'll tell you how long your string is. Another method is toLowercase, and what this one does is it returns a string object, but with all of its characters lowercase. It returns a copy of it. It does not change the original. And so if you need to make it lowercase, then you could call this string method and have it return it. We'll see an example in just a second. Strip is just like the Python strip, and it returns the stored character sequence, but it's taken off the white space, so that's spaces, tabs, new lines, character returns, those sort of things, both from the beginning and the end of the string if they exist. And now, to be clear, it doesn't change the object that you're calling it on, but it will return a copy of a string. So let's see these played out. Here I have some example code. We've already seen the length one, and then here's an example of toLowercase. So if we had a string object named season, and we're initializing it with summertime, and then we call season.lowercase, let's see what it does. We're printing here. It's just print, not print line, so there'll be no new line appended on the end. It is hot in the, and then on the next line of code we are displaying season. So what will it display? Will it display summertime with capitals? Will it display summertime with lowercase? Will it display just summertime with lowercase s and capital T? What do you think? So let's compile it. Yay, no syntax errors. I love it when that happens. And let's run it. Okay, so the way we run it is we call main here. Sure enough, it is hot in the summertime is what it displayed. Wait a second. I thought we called lowercase on it. Well, let's make it more explicit. Let's call lowercase. Let's just call season lowercase right here and display that. And it's lowercase here. Well, what's going on? It is returning a string version of its lowercase, and here it returns 1, and it's not assigned anything, so it's just, this is kind of a pointless statement. It does work, but to no effect. And then, so if we stored this string that it's created and with a new reference, then we could print out it is hot in the, and then season lowercase, and then sure enough, summertime. Here we have it. An example of strip. Here we have this line with a space, a tab, a space, some more characters, a space, and then a new line. We call line.strip, and then store that reference of the new string that it created in strip line. And then we display before and some stars with no space or anything. And notice we're using print, so it won't put a new line in between there. We're displaying the string, and then we're displaying these stars and after. And what we get is, notice this is what is displayed in our new reference. There is no space, tab, space. There's no space, new line after that. There we go. That's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it.